Magic Johnson. We're also seeing Myers Leonard in the starting lineup. I guess the thought there is that he gives them a little bit more protection at the basket than Kelly Olynyk, although Leonard never great in that regard either. So he'll get a chance to show off the Bubble's best tan. And Bam Adebayo is active but will not play. The only reason he's active is so he doesn't have to wear a mask and he can shout instructions to his teammates. Of course, Goran Dragic is out with that torn plantar fascia. And Jimmy Butler, really, that leaves him as the main scorer now for this Heat group. And we're underway.
We are ready for action.
What'd you say?
I said we're ready for action.
Yeah, well, Myers Leonard wasn't. He just didn't even jump at the tip for some reason. So Heat trying to have more pressure. They're bringing LeBron off a couple of screens into the lane, goes around Leonard. Leonard with a decent stop. Now the Heat can get it transition. Robinson is running the floor. Butler leaving it for Leonard down the lane, kicks it out. Three-pointer from Crowder. Nice closeout from Danny Green, but Duncan Robinson will get open instead, and he misses. He was 0 for 3 in game one.
Yeah, and that 3 shots is in some ways more important than the 0 made because that just shows how the Lakers attempted and successfully took him out.
Yeah, so they get it into Anthony Davis against Crowder. I thought Crowder actually did okay on him in game one. That's a pretty good look right there, though, from AD, and he drops it in off the front rim.
Well, remember, AD has such a high release that when you put a smaller guy on him, they're not affecting the shot that much.
Yeah, it's really the thing to look for there with AD is does he get his separation of his body off the other guy's body so he's not getting bumped when he goes up because he can get the shot off anytime. Leonard tried to post up on KCP. Pass was behind him as KCP did well to pull the chair. Now he'll get a three-pointer as his reward. May have traveled there to start off, but misses the three. Butler, who had much success early in game one, looking for the pick and roll with Leonard. They're just going to switch Dwight Howard onto Jimmy Butler. Here's Crowder rolling right down the lane, and LeBron made little effort to get off of Myers Leonard and contest as Davis went flying on Crowder's shot fake.
Yeah, Leonard was sealing LeBron well, but LeBron could have pushed a little bit harder to try to create something there.
Lakers with the skip pass. Green on the drive. Floats it up beautifully to Howard for the big crush.
Yeah, at first I thought that was a floater, but then it was absolutely a pass and a nice assist by Danny Green.
Yeah, I mean, we can only be 90% sure that was a pass when Danny Green driving is involved, but I agree with you. It probably was. Leonard unloading a three-pointer. That's a big shot right there, and he does provide an element that Bam did not with his three-point shooting.
So, Nate, the clock is off. Do you mind fixing it?
Yeah. Why does it keep changing? That's really annoying. Anyway, the Lakers just scored.
KCP drove and finished it over Tyler Hero.
Yeah, so they're forcing those Lakers support players to make drives, but they're cashing them out so far. Leonard, a good passer. Hero just eschewed Jay Crowder and did the right thing because he made Miami's second three-pointer of the game. Here's Green on that quick pick and pop. Howard kept it alive, although Leonard tipped it out of bounds. But you see a little different strategy there. No low resistance switch. That time they forced LeBron to give the ball up, and Green got an open shot, but I think they're just going to have to deal with that.
I agree.
Here's Miami in the 2-3 on the baseline out of bounds. LeBron, this is the first time they've gotten zone against LeBron. LeBron throwing it weak side. Green three-pointer, that misses. Rebounded by Butler. He's got Robinson ahead of the field, but Lakers are back. Pick and roll again this time. Oh, nice pass, but LeBron is there to clean up a weak move from Myers Leonard. Now LeBron pushing in transition, looking for Davis. Nice job by Crowder getting back, but that leaves Howard right there off the deflection. Tied at 8. Any thoughts so far on how this is looking, as we've had basically no stoppages here early?
I think that the Lakers have been consistently getting good shots, but you're right that they're not necessarily by their best players. So that's the gamble Miami's making, and I think it's the right one.
Another miss at the rim. Nice play by KCP. Now it's LeBron in transition. Leads it for Howard with the big jam, and he got shoved in the back for the and one.
And again, an ineffective, weak foul by a player, if you're not preventing the shot from going up pretty much normally, just don't commit the foul.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the point of this is here. I mean, I think
Like if
he
you're just
just,
gonna tap him on the elbow,
yeah, he was just out of control, and I think just tried to stop himself using Howard's body, and not a good idea. Howard way short, but AD with the rebound, going to go right back up over Leonard and score. What a move there,
yeah.
going
And
to
that's
the
a
right
four
shoulder.
point trip for the Lakers.
Yeah, killer failure to get the defensive board on that sequence. Butler wants Leonard to set the screen, gets Howard to switch onto him. Butler on the drive, past Howard. No, he didn't. He got rejected. Now it's 4-on-3. Leave it for LeBron. LeBron down the lane against Hero, just goes right through him for the layup.
Yeah, and transition defense is going to be a big challenge for the Heat, just like it is against everyone who plays the Los Angeles Lakers, and we're getting a timeout.
Yeah, 6-0 Laker burst there. Dwight Howard has been outstanding early. What do you think of the strategy of switching pick and rolls with LeBron to put Howard onto Butler?
I'm okay with putting Howard on Butler. I think that Jimmy will take advantage, but remember, I think Butler's game is more of a strength one right now, and he doesn't have a strength advantage on Dwight Howard, so probably draw a couple fouls. But the Lakers, that's not the worst thing in the world. Remember, they're not playing centers much in the series, and there aren't centers who are going to punish them available in this game because Bam Adebayo's not around.
Yeah, so you were going to get to a question there?
Actually, it was somebody had asked if we could set up the YouTube. The YouTube is up. You could if you Nate's account has tweeted it. I have retweeted it. All three are up now and should be running totally fine. And we got a bunch of people talking about the clock, which has since been fixed. But we can now get to questions.
Well, why don't we do a quick bookies read first here? Given the fact that this game has the slight potential of not being totally competitive throughout.
Well, the way to undersell it. I think that so for me my favorite thing about bookies.com is the information, and that really does start with the expert picks for me. Now, if you're interested in live updating bet lines pages, we'll talk about that later. But they have Mark Stropman and Adam Thompson, who are both doing really well this year, making their picks. Thompson is at basically 66%. Stropman is at 55%. Both of those are excellent. And they not only do they make picks, but they also explain them. And so both Stropman and Thompson picked the Lakers, who are 8-point favorites. That sounds like a totally reasonable selection to me. And then on top of that, they split on the over/under. Thompson said over, and Stropman said under, though they got him at slightly different numbers. So we'll see how that turns out. And of course, they each explain their picks, which I love.
Yeah, that's surprising. I mean, of course, I liked Miami in the last game as 4.5 point dogs, and I would probably be pretty enamored of the Lakers today at 8.5 point favorites, but we'll see. Long way to go, and Miami certainly has a lot of tricks up their sleeve from a coaching standpoint. Yeah, let's hit some questions if any have come in now.
Oh, we have no. From Kyle Glazer, the chances that LA keeps Dwight Howard next year, I think they're pretty good as long as Howard is okay with the role that the Lakers have given him. It is true that the Lakers probably won't offer too much of a pay bump because doing so outside of the 20% you can do with non-Bird would require using some of the mid-level. I would imagine they would want to do something else with that. And so then that might be hard. And so if Dwight wants a payday, but being on a legit championship contender and having a clearly defined role, I think that's a pretty awesome place for him. So I expect him to be back.
Yeah, we'll see. If his price range gets into like the 4 million or so, then maybe if they're trying to use the full mid-level, they could run into some apron issues if they bring him back. Why have the Heat not played Myers Leonard? What does Olynyk give you that Leonard doesn't? Better post-up ability, better shooting on the move are the two things I would say that Olynyk gives you. And yeah,
he's a better decision maker too. I think that so keeping the ball moving. So if you're kind of thinking of a lower usage offensive player, that's actually really important to just keep it moving.
Yeah, Leonard is a pretty good passer, as we are going to see Olynyk in the game. But I actually think Olynyk might be a slightly better help defender, frankly.
I think you're right.
Even though Leonard has better physical tools and Olynyk is in the game now. There's a lot of shooting on the floor. Here's Butler, wrong footing KCP, setting up Crowder for three. That misses. That's the type of shot Miami's going to have to hit tonight. Here's another one of those, and Olynyk wasting no time. That's why they're playing him over Myers Leonard, baby.
As Myers Leonard wipes his face in his shirt, maybe realizing that Olynyk might get the start over him if Bam can't play in Game 3.
Yeah, Howard trying to roll through Olynyk. Both players very foul prone, of course, Olynyk and Leonard.
Dwight Howard, one of the few players probably relieved that rip-throughs are not shooting fouls.
Lakers trigger sideline out of bounds, 2-3 zone for Miami right now. They want to get AD at the foul line here. He's wide open, although Crowder did well to contest him from behind late. LeBron switching on to Hero. They want to post up Butler on Danny Green. Back out Hero. He'll just take it over LeBron. Short. I mean, again, you could just see whenever LeBron is there, guys know they're being guarded by LeBron. They just rush it a little bit. Even the guys who are like, oh, I'm going to be really confident going against LeBron, as KCP missing the corner three.
And these are clean looks that the Lakers are missing for the most part.
Yeah, but that's your hope if you're Miami. And now Crowder blowing right to the rim for the jam. LeBron not exactly engaged that time as Danny Green couldn't get through the screen. Back to the 2-3. KCP on the drive. Nice pass. Danny Green, wide open corner three. Another miss, though. Lakers getting great shots, as you mentioned. Now Butler going to back it out on Howard again. Gets the fake screen from Olynyk. Olynyk, nice pass underneath. No, intercepted by Green. Great play. And LeBron is now in transition. He'll pull up nobody within 25 feet of him, and he drains it.
And something to keep an eye on, Miami has a pure Morey ball shot chart so far. The only twos they've taken are in the restricted area.
Olynyk setting the screen. Butler did not take the reverse layup. Now he gets it back. See, he's got to take that shot, Danny. He's going to draw the foul here, which, you know, that's a Jimmy Butler foul. He'll get that sometime. But Dwight Howard is backed off him by 10 feet.
I also don't really understand why there was a foul on Dwight Howard. That seemed like a pretty clear no call to me. Jimmy Butler went straight into him, bounced off. That's not a foul.
Yeah, I remember that game one play where Butler did a similar thing to Danny Green with the elbow. I thought he should have been called for an offensive foul. Instead, they just made it a no call off the challenge. And Butler missing the first free throw.
Ball continuing to tell the truth.
Yeah, but Lakers have had a couple of pretty bad miscommunications here as LeBron is going to go sit down.
And so we'll see how this is going to be an interesting stretch because we'll see how their defensive approach changes now that LeBron is not on the floor.
And as great as LeBron James has been, one criticism you can say is that his teams have sometimes played down to their competition early in series before it really got serious. And he's made a couple of mistakes tonight. He hasn't been as locked in defensively early. They're going back to the zone off the dead ball. I like that they're doing that right away, particularly to protect Olynyk. And there's Kuzma with the jump shot. Long 2-point range for Kyle Kuzma. Oh, he traveled too. They should have called that. Kendrick Nunn is in now. Rondo trying to deny on Robinson. Olynyk, good footwork on the three-pointer, but he's off a little bit. Davis, the impetus here for them offensively with LeBron out of the game. Kuzma trying Jimmy Butler, not an advantage matchup, and he'll move it. Rondo in the corner as Nunn helped off of him. No advantage gain. Kuzma has to step back, and I think they're going to get a foul on Kelly Olynyk. Yes, Kelly Olynyk went for the swim move to get around Dwight Howard on the deep post-up.
Yeah, and I believe that is the third team foul on the Miami Heat so far. So Lakers 2 more and they would be in the bonus, but only 4 3/4 minutes left in the first quarter.
Here's Rondo against Iguodala, who just came in. Tried it for the lob for Howard. He wasn't quite ready. Olynyk running the floor hard. Let's see if that opens anything up. No, it didn't. Lakers did well to get back. Robinson is open here off that nice little flare screen, but Robinson has missed a couple of open ones. Pass actually was a little bit too late from Iguodala. Usually he'd be on time with that one.
Yeah, and Rondo absolutely got hung up on that screen by Olynyk.
Kuzma being hounded by Nunn nicely. Picks up his dribble. It's good defense here by the Heat. But then Kuzma gets the backdoor layup. He beat Nunn. And that really, Nunn just decided to reach in on Howard for no reason and lost his man on the back door. Olynyk slipping the screen. Nunn trying to drive it. Robinson over Rondo. And they're going to get a 3-shot foul here in favor of Duncan Robinson. I don't know if I like that matchup for the Lakers. Rondo needs to be really locked in. He doesn't want to sprint all over the court necessarily. He wants to help a lot more as he does on this one. And then he doesn't really have the size to close out on the 6'8 Robinson.
Right, and it's the help instincts that to me are the biggest problem. That was something that came up in the Eastern Conference Finals when Jaylen Brown, it was partially because Enes Kanter was on the floor. Jaylen Brown was helping up Duncan Robinson, and he went off. I believe that was in Game 6.
So is this going to be a challenge here from Frank Vogel, or is it just a timeout?
The box score doesn't have a notation.
The Lakers have called a timeout here, so perhaps it will in fact be a challenge. It looked like Vogel was like kind of moving his hand in that little twirling motion, but it was not quite there. What do we got here, question-wise?
Just a sec. Oh, it is a challenge. Thank you. What player's overall game would improve the most if they could just hit their free throws? For a long time, that answer was Andre Drummond.
Well, and it was Dwight Howard and Shaq before that.
That's true. Because I mean the players that you're thinking of, I mean the easiest thing would be high volume free throw guys just in general. But there are players who would be more aggressive. Like here's a weird one, Lonzo Ball. I think it might tie a couple of things together in his game if he were just more aggressive. But Giannis is probably the real answer.
Oh yeah. Giannis is easily the number one guy. And you could actually throw Luka and LeBron in there too. I mean, if they could just go from low 70s to low 80s, that would be a big difference, I think, in terms of their scoring. But yeah, I mean, Giannis going from 63% to 78% would be massive considering how often he gets fouled.
BCP asks if playing down to his opponents badly bitten James. There are a bunch of explanations, but I would argue the 2011 finals is an example of that.
That would probably be the only one where they lost the series. I mean, the guy has made 9 of the last 10 finals. So, but there are definitely series where they've kind of let go of the rope. Like, for example, the 2016 East Finals against the Raptors, when he famously said, "I've known like adversity, and this isn't adversity," after the Raptors won games 3 and 4 at home to tie it up, and then they just got completely blown out after that.
Is playing his zone a majority of the game and forcing the Lakers' outside shooting to beat you an option? It is, though I think it's a much less tenable option without Bam because Miami just doesn't Miami doesn't have enough necessarily to stop you at the rim. I mean, are they gonna say, "Oh, Kelly Olynyk and Myers Leonard, they're standing at the basket, LeBron, you can't drive." Like I don't think it works nearly as well.
Well, I don't think it's going to work that well ultimately, but I do think that the value over replacement might even be higher with Olynyk or Leonard on the floor than with Bam because
you can't do the other stuff.
Right, exactly.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's like the only thing that even could pretend to work. All right, we're going to be back here and interested to see now what the Lakers are going to do against the Miami zone and also to see where Miami is in terms of attacking with LeBron off the floor. Looks like this is going to be judged a foul.
Yeah, the replay supports the call.
Pretty minimal contact, but it's enough. And Robinson, yeah, he sticks his butt out just a little bit to the side there to cause that contact, but in that one, probably not enough to overturn it, but also not necessarily a call that maybe should have been made. But it's also like you have to be perfectly lined up behind Duncan Robinson to see that if you're a referee. Yeah, I would be interested to know, Danny, what percentage of Duncan Robinson's free throws come on 3-shot fouls. Like, it's got to be like 80% of his free throws come as the result of 3-shot fouls.
Well, I mean, or maybe a four. Like, are we going to count 4-point plays as well? Like
Yeah.
fouls that occurred while shooting a three
Right.
pointer.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Yeah.
has to be
Exactly.
incredibly high.
Yeah. Lakers only 2 of 8 from downtown. Of course, they made 13 of their first 20 in game 1. Howard remains on the floor, interestingly. And this is not a lot of shooting against the zone right now. They get it into AD. He'll kick it out. Rondo, challenge to shoot it, does not. Green along the baseline. Sorry, that was Kuzma setting up KCP off the top of the backboard. And KCP, who shot it so well in game 1 to keep them in it in the first, as that's a great push from Kendrick Nunn, and Olynyk misses that 3. But that was pretty lazy transition defense by the Lakers. They came out poorly in game 1 also, but they are definitely not as sharp, which is to be expected given the absences from Miami.
And also, like this group without LeBron, they just don't have the same push in transition. So that's another avenue that the Lakers can't pursue as much, or
Yeah,
don't pursue.
Rondo, man, another 3-pointer by him as they back off of him with 5 on the shot clock. And again, you're just going to have to live with that if you're Miami with this limited group. Here's Butler on the roll, and AD, not a good foul there. I thought he had the arms forward, and good job by Butler creating the contact. Basically, any contact you create when the guy has his arms forward is going to be a foul.
But I think that AD could have reacted earlier there. He's guarding Andre Iguodala in the corner, and that ball's coming into Jimmy Butler. The bigger threat is not the cross-court pass to a reluctant three-point shooter.
Yeah, Iguodala, of course, matched up with Rondo in the 2018 playoffs as they're going to bring LeBron back in. And, I mean, the crazy thing right now, Danny, is, like, it feels like the Lakers are playing poorly, and they're still up 7. You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty remarkable, and that's because they are shooting right now a crazy 9 out of 12 on 2-pointers.
Yeah, 75%.
And they've got a couple of offensive rebounds as well. So more free throws from Butler. LeBron returning earlier than he normally would here. And we'll see how much they can get away with the zone against LeBron. I think it could work okay. He tries to sneak in. Now gets it on the baseline. Oh, nice pass.
That
there it is.
pass
I mean,
was filthy.
And that's much a high school offense almost. That's the same offense we used to run in high school with a guy at the free throw line and then a guy running the baseline in the short corner as Nunn misses the 3. So, and LeBron getting the ball in the short corner, the center has to react, and then there's plenty of space underneath. Here's Rondo blowing past Olynyk, but Olynyk forces the miss. Caruso, no, it's going to be turned over as Kuzma stepped on the baseline. Yeah, here it is. The short corner by LeBron. Davis with a beautiful cut. He doesn't get enough credit for just his understanding of how to get open in the lane. Olynyk stepping out. Going to switch this. No, they stick with Caruso on Nunn. More dribble handoff action. Nunn going to try LeBron. Faked the reverse and went up on the strong side nicely. That's a Chicago finish right there, Danny.
Yeah, that was something. Was that Tyler Hero did on LeBron in game 1, just going strong side?
Now Kuzma
That
tried.
Kyle Kuzma pass.
Yeah, he tried the slick behind the back pass, and behind the head pass. It actually was there, and he just didn't execute it. Olynyk, they were seeing a lot of this, of him just slipping the screen, knowing that the Lakers are switching these. Olynyk drawing the foul, and it'll be short. No shot, though, on that play as AD got the hands on. That's 2 now on Anthony Davis. Both of them pretty bad fouls.
Yeah, and I believe that is the 4th foul on the Lakers, so Miami should be shooting free throws the rest of the way.
Nunn trying to get it in. Almost. And he did get the 5-second. They did not want to call the timeout. And good job by the Lakers denying. Nobody moved hard enough on Miami. That's got to kill Eric Spoelstra right there to not even get the ball in. Back to the 2-3 again for Miami. Pass faking up top is Caruso. Now Rondo. This is not a great shooting group, so they got to get the ball into the middle. There's LeBron in the short corner again, but this time none gets inside of him, so the center doesn't have to guard him. Skip pass thrown to Rondo. Rondo short on that, but Caruso tips it out. The zone a little weak on rebounding, but then Butler takes it away from Kuzma. 3-on-2, none. Leaving it for Butler. Nope, offensive
Passing
foul.
crash.
Yeah.
And it looked like Caruso was there.
He's going to step forward into him. Look at this. Yeah,
you're right.
He's still moving forward, stepping into him well after he's released the ball. See,
yeah, and remember, it's when none takes off too.
Yeah, I didn't think like that call, but here again it is. So really what Miami has got to do, once the ball goes into LeBron or AD in the middle of the zone, they're dead. Those guys are just too good. They got to prevent the ball from getting there. And do that by sagging off the rest of these shooters. They don't have any good shooters in, as now we're going to go the other way again. Hero picking up his second foul. This one a more obvious call.
Yeah, and LeBron was just standing there. So yeah, I think that's the right call as the rule exists now.
Yeah, LeBron and AD are both such good targets in the middle of that zone. And LeBron, do you see him pointing where to throw the ball to get it in? And none backing off on LeBron to try and prevent him from getting the ball. Now it's AD on the short corner. Olynyk goes down, and AD, not a good pass.
Yeah. LeBron better at making the pass to the opposite corner than Anthony Davis. But still, Miami's inability to score in the half court, even though the Lakers have had these turnovers, it's still a 8-point margin.
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like Miami is outplaying the Lakers, and they're still down by 8. It just shows you the talent gap right now. Butler switched onto by AD. Goes for the tough pull-up. Nice shot there by Jimmy Butler. AD a little more hesitant with the 2 fouls when he's been left in the game by Vogel. Butler, a nice first half with 4 assists, 5 points, 4 rebounds. Iguodala guards LeBron on the step back. That's short, and Rondo could not get to it in time. No, we're going to get a loose ball foul here? Is that what they're saying? It looks like he's pointing at the ground. Or is this just the end of the first quarter?
I think they're going to review.
Yeah, I think they're going to review whether this came before the clock or not.
And so I believe this would be. Wait, what I'm thinking is this a shooting? This wouldn't result in free throws because a couple of Miami's fouls were offensive. They're not.
Yeah, that's a clear foul on none, to be sure. I mean, I at least credit him from trying to box out. But this takes place with about 0.8.
Yeah, so I guess then it would be. Yeah.
So it would be, at worst case for the Lakers, they get to inbound, depending on what the bonus situation is, which the scoreboard did not indicate that they were in the bonus.
No, this is Miami's 5th personal foul, but I believe that because a couple of them were offensive, that means that it would not be free throws.
Yeah, so it's going to be not free throws, and Miami will have the Lakers will have a chance to inbound. So much sound and fury signifying nothing. There should be about 0.6 left here, I would imagine. But Eric Spoelstra is still going to bring in a bunch of defensive guys nonetheless. Yeah, Derrick Jones Jr. Interesting. We still haven't seen him. Also interesting that we haven't seen Jones Jr. playing as a center at all.
Oh, Caruso got wide open.
Yeah, against the zone. I mean, that's part of why I've never been a huge fan of that zone. You do avoid giving up like some back cut right to the rim, but you also just let them get wide open for a 3 a lot of times. But it will be a 29-23 Lakers advantage after one. Miami really struggling to score 23 points on 24 possessions. They've turned it over 21% of the time.
Yeah, and the Lakers, some really notable disparities. They've turned the ball over on 19% of their possessions, and they're only 3 out of 12 from 3, but they're making 77% of their twos, and that's why the Lakers have still had a relatively efficient offensive night.
Let's hit some questions.
Absolutely. Anyway, Buddy Hield gets to Philly. Yeah, I mean, it would have to probably be their willingness to take on one of Philly's negative value contracts. Sacramento, incidentally, you could make an argument that they're one of those teams, not that Brand is going to necessarily give up on Tobias Harris, that could be interested in Tobias Harris just because their value of their cap space, digging out that far into the future, not really that big a deal for Sacramento. They haven't had that history. And I think that teams, there's still value in cap space, even if you're not a free agent destination. But Tobias Harris would make them a lot better. And Horford, I'd have to compare those two contracts.
The setup looks great. Yeah, that's all our director of basketball research, Ben Dull, putting that together. So thanks to him for doing that. Iguana Superbike asks, Bill Simmons suggested the Celtics trade Kemba and Tice to the Mavs for Kristaps Porzingis. Would the Mavs consider this? No, absolutely not. No chance. Zero. Even if Kristaps Porzingis suffered like a season-ending injury, they still wouldn't do it, I don't think.
Part of it is also the age-related timelines. I mean, Porzingis has an unusual skill set, which is really valuable for Luka in particular. But also, like, Kemba's getting close to the end of his career. We're not even sure how that contract is going to age. Whereas Porzingis still has a lot of good years left, even if he will miss more time due to injury.
Well, and frankly, Kemba Walker was injured basically
that's true.
for 8 months this year and was not himself, as everyone acknowledged in the playoffs this year. So I think, and then just the redundancy with Luka. Like, the Mavs need someone who can defend on the wing much more than they need another offensive engine. And we've seen also that Kemba really at the absolute highest levels where the Mavs are trying to go. Yes, I realize that he was injured, but when you're not going with a conventional pick and roll defense against Kemba, much of his value is lost, and he could be attacked defensively as well.
What are Chris Paul's most likely destinations? The Knicks seem like a pretty reasonable one, just because he with their front office and having Tibbs
Can
there.
I rephrase? I think they seem like a more likely one, but I wouldn't call it reasonable. I would call it unreasonable. but
yeah.
But I mean, who knows what the Knicks are going to do? Obviously, that's a big question. But I doesn't make sense to me for them to do that, other than just to get better next year.
Any other destinations you like?
I mean, I think Milwaukee, but it's all the reporting indicates they're not interested. All right, we're going to be back here for the second quarter. And Spoelstra, it's expressive, actually, for once here. He's usually the king of the non-answer. Let's see what they've got out of this timeout. More conventional pick-and-roll defense and none. Wow, he missed that way short. Hasn't been able to continue his second-half surge from Game 1. Markieff Morris, quick release from 3. Wow, that airballed. Crowder could not save it, though. His right foot stepped in the line. Crowder and Rondo once were actually traded for one another back in 2015, an extremely lopsided trade in favor of the Celtics, as it turned out.
Yeah, Rondo and Dallas didn't work out too well.
2-3 zone. Swing it around to James in the corner. Duncan Robinson coming down on him. Then he backs off, lets him shoot the 3, and James hits it. That was very poor defense from Robinson at that point in the shot clock, because he had help behind him.
That's what I was going to do. It was 4 seconds left.
I think that's something that coaches maybe should emphasize more. It's good late switch there by the Lakers with Markieff Morris taking away the Olynyk post up. Here's Iguodala, pump faking, lays it in. He thought he got fouled as well. Eric Spoelstra waving everyone backwards to get back into the zone, and they do. Here's Caruso, swings it around James. Caruso again, he'll just take the open 3. That curls in.
And now it's up to a 10-point margin. On the last play, I want to say I really like Kendrick Nunn driving hard enough to generate the help. He's done a good job of that so far in this game.
Yeah, he does provide penetration. He'll do stuff with the ball, which is something they desperately need right now. Olynyk wanted it on the post up, doesn't get it. Robinson switched onto by James. Iguodala trying to post up, and they're going to get Rondo for the foul, trying to swim around Iguodala. Apropos of nothing, I once had a conversation with Iguodala in the locker room talking about Rondo and him trying to argue with me that he was underrated and me saying that I thought he wasn't any good. And I was talking about how they guarded him in the 2018 playoff matchup as my example. I always enjoyed debating with it when I got the chance to. It wasn't very often, but there's Robinson missing the three-pointer. Man-to-man here off the miss for Miami. Again, they're going zone on a make and a dead ball, man on a miss. Kuzma, pick and pop, that misses. I mean, I think Miami's defensive strategy is decent enough right now. I really think so. They're doing about as well as could be hoped with this personnel, but they can't score to save their lives right now. Butler is going to come back in to see if he can remedy that. Robinson with the fake on James. Not great defense from James, but Robinson missed it anyway. Now it's LeBron trying Iguodala. Bumps into him, loses it. Now he's going to post up again. Let's see where the help is going to come from here. Iguodala bothering him. James into the lane. Good defense, better finish, and it's going to count. I didn't see much of a foul, particularly. Yeah, what they're going
I think Iguodala dropped his left arm. I think that's what they saw.
I think it was actually the right arm here. On his back. Yeah, that's what they're going to call, because you see the referee who called it had the exact same angle that we did. Yeah, see this right arm in the back of James? And
that's a good call.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's one of those like kind of automatic triggers, whereas a defender, you might be like, I actually wasn't shoving him, but just you put your hand on there, that's a call these days. And that's one of the times where I think that the skew towards objectiveness among referees is actually a good thing, because trying to judge whether having the hand on him affected him or not is tough. Here's the easy drive by Kendrick Nunn as there was little help available. Good job there by Nunn attacking Caruso on the hard straight line drive.
And I thought that Caruso did a pretty good job on Nunn. I think it was a possession or two before, but there that time he just got beat left hand pretty quickly.
I was watching a few clips of LeBron back in his 2018 playoff run, which was so awesome, and he almost looks more explosive to me now. And perhaps that's just because he was so exhausted having to do everything offensively for that Cavs team.
And remember that was a dead sprint off of a full season, and wasn't that the year he played every game?
It was. 10-point lead for the Lakers. They're going to try and get the ball into the middle of the zone here with Caruso's drive. That sets up the open corner three from Kuzma. Missed. Danny Green off the offensive rebound, and that drains. I love those makes that go hit the back of the rim and just go straight down. MJ used to have a bunch of those. I was a big fan of those in my youth. None of my makes ever did that, sadly. Really difficult shot from from Hero that time against Markieff Morris. James goes back door. That opens up the shot by Morris, but he misses. Nunn looking to push it. Intercepted by Caruso. Excellent defense. James is ahead of the field, and they're going to foul Danny Green.
Clear path review.
This will almost certainly be a clear path. With James ahead of the field, the pass was thrown. This will be a clear path. If any sanity still prevails in our world.
Will this be long enough review where we can talk about bookies.com?
Well, here, why don't we let's do some betting here. I'm starting the clock right now. Give me the over-under. How long does this take?
Oh, what?
No, they didn't even review it?
What?
They're going to say it was a loose ball foul? Maybe that's the only way they can say that. Caruso off the pass fake, gets it to Kuzma behind the back. Now James in the corner against Nunn, gets the screen. James gets wide open. Way short, though. Here's Butler looking to attack Kuzma. Has to kick it out. Nunn swings it around. Good driving kick action from Miami, and it pays off with the Crowder three-point bomb, and Frank Vogel did not enjoy the looks of that possession.
Well, something that you all can enjoy is the experience at bookies.com. Go to bookies.com/NBA, and one of the greatest assets, especially for those of you who know more about betting than we do, is having their live odds page. And so if you go to bookies.com/NBA, you can get there. And so that means you can see lots of different sites They have the best click-through deals in the business, so you don't have to worry about that as well. And it's all on the same page in a live update, so you don't have to bounce around. You don't have to, shop or do anything like that. It's all right there.
Yeah, bookies.com/NBA is the place to do it. And some of those aforementioned promo offers, Unibet, you deposit $600, you get a $600 risk-free bet and $30 in free bets. BetMGM, deposit $500, get $500 in free bets. PointsBet, deposit $250, get $250 in free bets using the promo code BOOKIESNJ.
Gordon, fake trade. Gordon, Covington, and Mbah Moute to the Sixers for Horford, Thibault, and Milton. I mean, that's a lot to give up for Horford and Thibault. I mean, I as Houston, I wouldn't really do that. I mean, it's just I think Covington it'd be fun to have him back in Philly, but no, I mean that the Houston would lose their entire identity without gaining a new identity to replace it.
Yeah, and Gordon, they really need him. I think I thought he looked pretty good once he came back from the knee surgery in the bubble and then the ankle injury as well. And Covington is a big part of what they're doing. I mean, yeah, their small ball unit doesn't work unless Covington is there. And Horford is not a good enough shooter really at this point in his career where he's just going to spot up and bomb it the way Covington is. So Horford and Westbrook, not a great fit as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, I would not do that as the Houston Rockets. I agree with you.
Fun one for Peter Wiggin. If there were a basketball move called the LaRue, what would it be? Well, if it's based on my actual playing, it'd probably be setting an unnecessary screen. That was something I did way too often. But I would say if it were something more positive, that would be something off of maybe running off of a make or something like that. That's something that I push for harder than almost anybody.
Yeah, one thing, just a general note in pickup is that I think the biggest things that guys don't do enough in pickup, if you feel like you're just not doing anything, guys love to run up and set a ball screen, and you're much better off setting an off-ball screen for somebody rather than a ball screen. Find the best shooter and try and get him open, or get the post player to go across the lane with the screen. That's where I think guys who are sort of looking for something to do on offense and pickup, that's something that really works well. Just go off-ball instead of on-ball.
I'll answer this one quickly. Somebody asked about the disparity in field goal attempts in this one. Offensive rebounding is a part of it. It's 4-1, but the bigger part is that Miami has 9 free throws and the Lakers only have 2, both of which were and ones. So the Lakers have more possessions that have a higher proportion of their possessions that have ended in a field goal attempt, whereas Miami has had some end in free throws.
All right, we're back here with a 10-point game, 40-30. You and I were talking before we went on the air that this one, I'm never right when I make these observations, by the way, so don't take this to the bank. But this one has the feel of a game that's just going to be like a 13-point game the whole way. Here's the oop for James. Wow, that pass got sent into the Magic Kingdom.
End of Space Jam?
Yeah, Caruso went with the 1971 overhead pass, and that's not what's made for alley-oops. Olynyk looking for Butler. They'll switch Markieff Morris onto him. Butler looking to drive. Hero going right into the lane, and Markieff Morris, zero reaction on that one.
Well, and that's one of the real limitations of these Morris and LeBron as the bigs lineups, is they're just LeBron has basically all of the help defense instincts that the team has.
Yeah, Morris has done some nice things, but he's better, I think, just rotating around necessarily than being a help guy. Here's a three-pointer. That's not even close. Lakers have had some bad misses from three. I think it was Green who went flying. Here's Butler going to go right into Morris, and he'll go to the free throw line.
And I'm expecting that we'll see Anthony Davis come back in here.
Yeah, he's headed to the table right now. Green looks like he kind of, it's his hip. It looks like he's trying to stretch out that's like a hip flexor is what he's trying to do there. Left hip flexor. Hopefully nothing serious as Butler makes the first free throw.
And so we'll see what the overall subs are here.
Davison. The Lakers love. Remember, they gave up. Was that in the Denver series that they gave up the offensive rebound to Monte Morris because, as Green is, this is not good for him. Maybe this is just a cramp.
Because of the lane violation? Yeah.
Yeah, the lane violation and then the failure to box out by Rondo because he was on the bottom of the free throw lane. Rondo with trying to pass fake against his own. Gets it into Markieff. Quick kick out. Caruso. Oh, yeah. Nice zone offense there from the LA Lakers. This is like a college team right now, getting the ball to the middle of the zone and playmake. Here's Butler. Goes right through Caruso, and Jimmy Butler has been outstanding here in this first half as they tried to not switch that screen with Rondo, and that led to Caruso being behind the play.
And these are Jimmy Butler's 7th and 8th free throws of this first half. The Lakers, as a team, have 2.
So as we talk more about that 2-3 zone, part of why it works so well to get the ball to the free throw line is you watch what happens to the two forwards on the baseline. Guards in this case, usually they're referred to as forwards. Those guys have to pinch way in when the ball gets to the free throw line because someone has to guard the guy there. The center has to move up. There'll be someone else under the basket, so it's those forwards' responsibility to take that away, and then you can kick it right back out for a three-pointer, and there's nobody there, as Caruso demonstrated that time. They get it into Rondo in the middle, and once again, you see Hero has to late close because he had to come all the way in under AD. Now Butler looking to push it again. Olynyk, it gets deflected by Caruso as they try to get into it. Now Olynyk posting up, has to get out of the lane, though. Nunn's three-pointer, that misses. Nunn has not had the touch from downtown. Caruso looking to push it again. Gets it out. AD.
Traveled.
Indeed.
Yeah, he stagger stepped while catching the ball and then took a step before he dribbled. So, yeah, that's a clear call.
Yeah, and AD's still... He just didn't have the conscience to take that three for whatever reason. I mean, he's wide open. He's a good shooter. He's shooting it well in these playoffs, around 40%. Just take that shot. LeBron getting another rest. None coming off screens on the weak side. Now it's Hero. Good continuity action here. Hero loops a left-handed pass to the opposite side. Olynyk on the cut. Nicely to the basket. There's another thing that Olynyk brings you. He's just moving without the ball a ton for a big.
And Markieff Morris fouled him twice.
Here's Caruso, center of the zone. Pass was off, though, as he tried to set up KCP. Rondo leaves it for Davis for the dunk. And one of the things that makes it harder to play that 2-3 at the NBA level is because you've got more spacing, as Butler is going to try and drive into AD here and kick it out. Crowder leaving it for Butler, did not want to take that layup. Instead, Nunn hits the three, and it's back to a 4-point game. One thing that makes that zone harder to play at the NBA level is because there's more spacing, you can split those two guys at the top a little bit more easily. And that's why you'll see them try and match up a lot. But they get it into Rondo again, and they don't have a way to stop the ball from getting to the middle.
Yeah, because you could see the guys at the top try to pinch in, but that would really only be a temporary solution.
Nunn almost traveled. Butler into the lane. Crowder powering up over Morris nicely. Markieff Morris has not played well. Now Davis ahead of the field. Led him just a little bit too much. Nice play by Crowder deflecting that pinball action from the Lakers.
And that would have been an opportunity for Markieff Morris to pass fake himself open. Instead of making it, Jay Crowder was leaning the way of playing the pass. So then if you get him going that way, you just take the shot yourself.
Get into AD quickly on the baseline with terrible production. We can't tell you how that happened, but we do know that the shot went in. Butler going to attack Markieff Morris. Quick shoots him. Bounces twice, and it's rebounded by KCP. Rondo looking to push it. AD ahead of the field. Now Olynyk stuck on KCP. Backs off him. Gives up the three. misses. Nice box out by Crowder on AD, and he's now behind the plate. 5-on-4. Butler into the lane. Morris, I thought, fouled him again, didn't. And instead, Olynyk cleans up as Anthony Davis didn't even bother to get back. He didn't even cross half court, Danny. That was pathetic.
Yeah, and there was no way of knowing whether they were going to get anything, but Markieff Morris drills the three.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to have a foul in the rebounding action as well. Yeah, Nunn, again, trying to box out. That's the second time he's called there. That time I thought he actually got in front of him, and that should not have been a call. This is well after the shot went through, basically.
And this is a long break for LeBron. So he came out for AD at 7 minutes, and then now he's coming back in about 3.5. So that's another 3.5 minutes for James. He's played 14 so far in the first half.
He did get a shorter than normal break in the first quarter, however.
That's true.
So a third foul on Nunn, 2 of them coming on attempted box outs in the zone. I wonder if this is actually going to be, I wonder if this is actually going to be a challenge.
Challenge? We'll have to see.
Heat just called a timeout. It really didn't look like he fouled him to me. I thought he got in front of him. But, I mean, with that being the third foul, maybe. But, I mean, Nunn is not a high foul player. 3 minutes left here. This is one of those ones where you just keep him in, and what difference does he make if he gets his 4th foul now or right at the start of the third quarter? It's 6 and 1/2 dozen the other.
Let's do this one. Can you make the argument that the Pelicans' job is the best one due to the longevity of the talent? I think you could make an argument that it's the most desirable. Now, best, like, I mean, because the Clippers, you're getting a championship contender, and that is generally that's a pretty awesome thing for a coach to be able to have. Teams that good, Kevin Pelton and I did a podcast on this, or a segment on this. Teams that good don't usually have a new coach. But the Pelicans, you'll probably get a longer leash, which is nice. Like, you probably get time to kind of figure it out. But also remember, the Pelicans' talent doesn't fit together perfectly. Zion's defensive limitations, some guys that don't shoot, and Drew Holiday's 1 year away potentially from free agency. So I think that job, it's a very good one overall, but there's a chance that it's not a perfect one to be sure.
I'd be very interested in that interview process if I'm a coach, to try and find out from David Griffin what he perceives the Pels timeline to be and what's going to happen with Drew Holiday. Is this being viewed more as a building project, or is this, no, you guys need to make the playoffs next year and you need to be building up immediately and contending within 2 or 3 years? Or is the thought, hey, Zion is young, we got Lonzo, we got Brandon Ingram, like, those are the guys we're going to build around, and we're still going to get more pieces with all these draft picks that we have going forward. That would be one of my big questions to management as I'm the coach interviewing with them.
Worst number 1 pick that didn't get injured, Olowokandi, Kwame, or Anthony Bennett? You know the more historical, like the older guys better than I do, but I mean, Anthony Bennett,
it's Anthony Bennett.
If memory serves, I had him 8th, and that class was terrible. Like, it wasn't like he was the 8th. Like, it was there, and there wasn't, the theory behind it was so nebulous because he hadn't been, in my opinion, he hadn't been great in his college tenure. The theory of him as a professional was really weak. So yeah, I mean, that would be my pick.
Well, and he also had by far the worst career of those 3 guys.
Also true.
And
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Kwame and Olowokandi had careers. Anthony Bennett absolutely did not.
Yeah, and Kwame and Olowokandi, they at least were drafted at a time when that player type was useful, right? Like, Kwame was drafted as a power forward, ended up becoming a center later in his career. But Anthony Bennett was drafted as a power forward, so, like, the theory of him was bad, and he wasn't even what he was supposed to be as a player. So it was a double fail, really.
We got a comment that the Heat zone has been working. The Lakers are recently missing threes or reluctant to take with no LeBron. I think that's partially true, but they've been getting good looks. And overall for the game, granted, this isn't just on zone possessions, the Lakers' offense has been great.
Yeah, there's something about playing zone that makes it seem like you're playing worse on offense than you actually are by the numbers sometimes. because it just doesn't seem right.
Well, and the possessions can be slow sometimes, so sometimes it can take the score down.
Butler leaving it for Hero. Tough pass. Hero bothered well by KCP, and LeBron did well to track back for the rebound. Now he's in transition, picked up by Butler. Robinson trying to help off of Rondo. Now they go for the hard hedge. Butler gets back into it, but with the help there, that leaves Kuzma open, and a really terrible foul by Jay Crowder. Although, I mean, Crowder had already landed. I mean, this is quite the flop by Kuzma here, but Crowder had already landed. He easily could have just not run into him, it seemed like to me. What do you think of that graphic that they just showed about Jimmy Butler? Is that like does he deserve the credit for what he did to those franchises the way they're talking about there?
I mean, he was only on the Sixers for half the year, but they did come closer to beating the Raptors than anyone. So I think, and Butler was definitely a part of that. So I think it's fringy, but it's good enough. Well, I mean, the Bulls being bad the last 5 years there are a lot of different reasons for that.
Well, and part of that is because they traded him, and
absolutely
the other reason, the Wolves certainly, right, like him being there was the reason why they made the playoffs, and they were playing extremely well before he tore his meniscus. And then last year, I mean, Philly disappointed in the playoffs in the 2 years around when he was there. And now Miami obviously is much better than they were, though there are many reasons for that. So I think it's fair. Hero, nice pass fake around KCP, and KCP is called for the hold.
And that is a 2-shot foul because the Miami Heat are in the bonus.
Yeah, Lakers beginning to pull away. The one place where they maybe haven't done the best job is in not fouling the Miami Heat, as they are now 14 of 15 from the line. Butler has 9 points, even though he's only 1 of 5 from the field. Yeah, one problem for the Heat is the continued struggles of Duncan Robinson. 0 for 4 from three-point range, although he did have that 3-shot foul, but worst plus minus on the team for Duncan Robinson right now as well.
We mentioned earlier, but that is a cool stat that Kendrick Nunn, no, I can get it right. Tyler Hero, youngest player ever to start an NBA Finals game. I think he's 8 days younger than Magic Johnson was.
2-3 zone again for Miami. Lakers trying to get Davis into the middle of the zone. They swing it around. LeBron on the pass fake. He's going to drive, has to kick it out. Nice pass fake again by KCP. Beautiful offense there, Danny. You hit on it from the very beginning against this Heat zone of pass faking, particularly that wing guy when the baseline guy tries to come up and sort of bother, and then a nice post up from Butler against Rondo off the switch. Rondo, very, very weak attempt there. He does not want to fight in the post at all. Now Rondo, alley-oop for James behind the defense. Duncan Robinson will pick up the foul. What a pass. And James,
and also Kelly Olynyk had to shade up because of Anthony Davis and shade over, so there was a clear passing angle. Rondo nailed it.
Yeah, and Duncan Robinson was worried about having to go up to defend the shooter. You see him turn his head to check where that shooter is, and at that time, LeBron went right behind him. And with the intelligence of Rondo, Anthony Davis, and LeBron against the zone, even though they're not great three-point shooters, they're able to find a ton of holes. Nice rebound from Olynyk as LeBron missed the free throw. Olynyk pushing into the front court. Back to goal now against Rondo. Into the lane. Tried to draw the foul. Could not. Butler keeping it alive, but it goes to the Lakers. Lakers looking to push up again quickly here. They go right ahead to Davis. And yet another and one. You see where he threw this pass from?
That was from the free throw line, right?
It was from the half-court line.
Oof.
What a look.
Yep, that was behind half court.
Incredible pass. And the lack of athleticism for Olynyk. But I mean, when you've got this kind of passing and Davis's and LeBron's finishing ability, they are picking apart this Miami defense here. This is a pretty slow pace first half, I would guess, as well. I haven't looked at the stats yet.
Yeah, it's about 47 possessions so far.
Yeah, so this is like a 130 offensive rating for the Lakers.
Yes.
Iguodala back in the game. They set a couple of screens, but they're all over that on the weak side with Robinson. Now Iguodala looking to involve Robinson in the handoff game. Rolls to the basket. Robinson couldn't get it to him. Hero, nice pull up there over KCP. He lost him easily that time. Back to a 13-point Laker advantage. They'll switch Robinson onto Rondo. Now the pick and roll with James. They don't want to switch this. Robinson gets over it. Then nice play by Rondo and another foul from Robinson. That was a great job by Rondo. Poor Duncan Robinson is trying to get back. He finally gets back in front. He's like, okay, I got him. And then Rondo goes right past him and gets the foul. Really just the smarts of the Lakers offensively has been outstanding. Rajon Rondo, what pick is he drafted, Danny? Year, and pick.
Oh, I think he was 17th in 2006.
Your house isn't burning down, is it?
I'm hoping not.
They try to set the screen for Hero away from the ball. Lakers switch that perfectly. Now Butler blowing by AD, but blew the layup. AD still intimidated from behind. Rondo now in transition, looking for an outlet. Blows right past him to the rim. Lakers now by 17. Robinson right back. Oh, they needed that one. Rondo made that layup and then was behind the play. Could not get back to Robinson. Good help comes from Robinson on Rondo. Kick it out. LeBron at the elbow against Iguodala. Robinson over still in the strong side zone, trying to take away the cut. Two guys go down, and who are they going to get here? Butler? No, offensive foul. Sorry, they were zoomed in so much I couldn't see what the referee's call was. Yeah, that is a cheeky little move from Rondo, and the way that he's attacked the basket in these playoffs, particularly in Denver series, he might have double dribbled there. Did you see that?
Let me see. Yeah,
He definitely double dribbled. But hey, that's the place to do it when you got four guys around you. There's no way the referee can see it. Yeah, watch this. Watch his left hand.
He also carried, but that's not called all the time.
68-54, 5-second differential between the game clock and shot clock. Butler operating at the elbow, trying to get it to Robinson. Sets a moving screen. Robinson rims out the three, and the Lakers not really in any hurry to push it up here. LeBron with the elbows for the Heat. LeBron stepping back for an ugly three, and I didn't really particularly care for that last possession by LeBron James, but 68-54 is your halftime advantage for the LA Lakers, and we will take a little break here. Be back a couple minutes before the end of halftime to preview the second half. All right, we back. And I want to remind you, of course, that we are sponsored today by bookies.com. Go to bookies.com/NBA for expert picks, great live updating odds, and the best click-through betting deals in your state if betting is legal. They'll also remind you that the Lakers are 16.5-point favorites to win Game 2 after the first half. They are up to minus 5,000 on the money line. The Heat are plus 1,800. And the total over-under on points is up to 225.5. Bookmark bookies.com for the best betting odds and deals anywhere on the internet, and check out their expert picks for each game of the finals.
Do you want to do some questions, or do you want to do some kind of big picture thoughts on where things are going from here?
I was gonna just pet the cat. No. So I think the Heat zone not working incredibly well. I'm surprised that they didn't at least try to go to a little bit of Derek Jones Jr. or Solomon Hill and just switch everything and just try to find a way through there defensively. And yeah, they're going to get overwhelmed by AD and LeBron at times, but right now they're not forcing them to exert any energy on offense at all. You just throw it to the center of the zone, and then they're attacking that pretty easily. Lakers 17 out of 20 on two-pointers in this, and they are, am I reading this right? 9 out of 27 on threes in the first half. So, I mean, like,
Yes.
I think that part's actually working okay, but it's not like Olynyk is giving them anything protecting the basket, so maybe you could get a little more defense out there, try a switching man-to-man as well defensively. But, I mean, Eric Spoelstra is a great coach. Like, a coaching move is not going to get them back in this series. They're just going to have to keep hoping that the Lakers shoot the three ball a little bit more. And, wow, I mean, this is crazy that that's the most three-point field goal attempts in any half in finals history. But
A record that I think will be broken at some point soon.
well, the Rockets will never make the finals, so it might be safe for a little while. Yeah, no, I think that those are the things that I would look at. I don't know if they're going to start Myers Leonard in the second half or not. Butler has been okay, but they really haven't had anyone else who's had a ton of offensive impetus. Duncan Robinson has been shut down. I think they got to keep trying to get him going a little bit. Like, they've gotten good stuff off of some of his actions. Let's take a quick question before the second half starts.
Rondo and Howard are good again. Is it decisions? I think a lot of it is playing with LeBron, especially for Dwight, because he's a dependent offensive player and being healthy physically.
Yeah. Here's Leonard, who's back in the game. Howard reaching in on him immediately for a dumb foul. Howard got the Keith Bogans in the first half.
And so did Myers Leonard. Yeah, Howard got the Keith Bogans, but he did play 10 minutes in the first quarter.
Right. Hero switched onto by Howard. No advantage gained there. He's got to get it back and attack him. Tough matchup here for Hero. Steps back, did not get it off. Great block by Howard, who still is a pretty solid switch defender at age 34 as a center. Here's LeBron. Has the open side against Butler. Now they engage Robinson. Nice job by Crowder switching on to KCP. No advantage gained on that one. Howard. Oh, man, he didn't take the jump shot there. Here's LeBron into the lane. Tried to draw the foul. Oh, and it just curls in. That's a killer possession for Miami. They played great defense on that possession, and LeBron still hits a very difficult shot. Butler looking to attack Howard. Handoff Robinson. Nice quick slip by Butler, and he goes right through the verticality of Danny Green. Excellent finish.
And a great pass by Duncan Robinson, getting it basically a pocket pass through the slip.
Well, and that has been there, actually, and he hasn't been able to throw that pass in the first half. He got it a couple times in game one. AD one-on-one against Leonard on the right side. Steps back, difficult shot, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and AD making those kinds of shots is such a game changer, because you expect him to be able to attack Myers Leonard more aggressively, but if he can settle and still score.
Here's Butler, swings it out. Crowder didn't have his feet set, didn't matter, bucket. Nice pass from Butler, who's been outstanding distributing the ball here in this game. AD trying to post now on Crowder. Good job fronting. Good job on the weak side help. Now they get it into him, but it's a later clock than it was. Myers trying to come over into the strong side zone. AD, same shot he just hits it again. Lakers keeping pace. Heat defense has been better. This is.
I would say so.
They've been in straight man-to-man this whole time. Now, nice slip here. Butler again kicks it out. I don't know why he didn't go up on Danny Green. Robinson, quick release over Howard goes down. And Miami really playing well here to start this third quarter. And the Lakers, had they not hit 3 difficult contested shots, Miami might have cut into the lead even more. Now it's zone defense for Miami off the make. AD open corner 3. Man, and Anthony Davis, what a start to the half. 7 points on 3 possessions with 3 jump shots.
And Davis is 10 of 11 from the field, 22 points on 11 shooting possessions.
Making his bid for MVP, Danny.
He is.
Now Butler draws a pretty BS foul along the baseline. But Howard, the one thing about Howard there is he's not going anywhere. There's no reason to try and cut him off at that point. LeBron is on him. He's not shooting. He's looking to pass in that situation. Yeah, I mean, these AD shots, they're not even hitting the rim as they go through. Screen away for Butler. Now Robinson pops out. Leonard actually missed Butler on the cut. Now Leonard on the drive into LeBron, called for a blocking foul. And it looks like Myers-Leonard.
LeBron moved into Myers-Leonard. He wasn't in Myers-Leonard's path, so he made himself go that way, and that's a foul.
Yeah, and Myers-Leonard, I think he might have suffered a little bit of a thigh contusion there as LeBron got him with the knee. Leonard, not a frequent visitor to the foul line. I still remember that game 4 against the Warriors last year when did he have 25 points in the first half?
He had 25 points in the first half, yeah.
And had a bunch of assists as well, and then immediately was salary dumped. That was his last game in a Blazer uniform. Let's see what the Heat are in here defensively. Looks like man-to-man. Now it's Butler with Crowder guarding LeBron. Butler trying to guard AD and put the fire out, and AD goes right at him again. This is absolute domination from Davis, who's scored 9 points in a row. They're going to go right back to him next possession, too. Robinson, nice job by Howard switching on to him. The Heat doing a good job of slipping these screens, but that time they got intercepted. Here's LeBron right down the lane, goes through Duncan Robinson. Poor Duncan Robinson. He's just laying there in utter dejection. He was not outside the restricted area, though. You could see the referee pointing to the line. He may have actually been in position. Watch
and
this
apparently
here.
During this run, the only way to stop Anthony Davis is to turn the ball over so he doesn't touch the ball.
He was not, in fact, in the restricted area, but I mean, would you say he was there? I don't know if that actually. It could have just been a no call to me.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't an offensive foul to me, but I could have lived with that being a no call.
So Eric Spoelstra will get a timeout here.
And you know what I think we should do right now? I think we should talk about our friends at bookies.com. I don't know about you.
I completely agree. And so what was that halftime line that we talked about? 16.5. Lakers are over that again.
And the negative 5,000 on the money line is pretty impressive as well. But yeah, bookies.com, whether you're going to do spreads, money lines, totals, or parlays, they have it all there. Bookies.com/NBA, the best click-through deals. And also, they have great content if you follow them on Twitter. @Bookies is the handle. They do some good promotion for us, but also they do a great job, especially if you're into things beyond basketball. You can just follow a single Twitter account. They have great information.
Yeah, and you can get the picks of one Adam Thompson, 85 and 44. Adam Thompson, 66% over his last however many games, 85 and 44 adds up to. And
it looks like he's going to cash on both of his picks for this game, too.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's 18 and 7 over his last 25. Man, that guy's a monster. And, of course, you can click through to great deals from PointsBet, BetMGM, and Unibet as well for legal betting in your state. Let's hit some questions here.
Let's see. How much is a player like Duncan Robinson worth on the open market, elite specialist who's clearly limited in other areas? I answered this question. We got asked this, I think, in the Celtic series, and I answered it. Do you want to answer it?
What was the question? Sorry, I was looking for
How much is Duncan Robinson worth on the open market?
Oh, I think he's better than JJ Redick. So I mean, I would say $16 million a year on a normal market. Obviously, it's going to be depressed a little bit with this 2020 market, but a normal market, I would say 16 million a year. I mean, yes, it's more difficult to deal with him during the regular season than the playoffs, but and he moves without the ball. He has incredible versatility to his jump shot. He's got a little bit more size than JJ Redick does as a defensive player. Redick does more as a driver and inside the arc, but that doesn't really add that much for you. So I think he's really good.
What would Anthony Davis's stats have to be to win Finals MVP? I mean, if it's around what he's doing, remember Davis had a really strong game one as well. He was more, I would say, he was more impactful defensively in game one than he has been in game two, but dropped 34 and 9 as well. So I mean, you could make an argument now. Remember, it's a small group of voters, and they can be looking at a lot of things, and LeBron is so important to the Lakers offense. But, I mean, I think AD has been the better player through a game and a half.
Yeah, 24 points, 11 of 12 from the field for Anthony Davis. Just ridiculous start to the third quarter. But I think the understanding of the historical legacy, and I've said this before, so sorry if this is redundant, but the understanding of the historical legacy aspect for LeBron going up against MJ, and also the carping that LeBron did about not winning regular season MVP, even though he didn't deserve it, I think is going to affect some voters' minds, I would guess, if it's at all close. I mean, obviously, if AD is way better, then that's one thing. But if their stats are similar, they'll give it to LeBron. All right, so we're back here. This looks like a 1-2-2 zone from the Lakers. No, it looks like it's just like a straight matchup. This is an interesting look. Hero drives in, and he hits it in off the glass. Very difficult shot as he got past Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard on that play. 16-point game. Heat back in their own zone. LeBron right down the lane goes for the floater. That's a shot that we have not seen much from him in his career. He started working on that when they were going up against Roy Hibbert all those years in the finals, and apparently still has it in the bag. Butler gets Robinson the handoff. Now he wants to go one-on-one against LeBron. Let's see how this goes. Leonard sneaking behind Howard. Handoff. Nice, beautiful action. I mean, the Heat offense, Danny, has been really, really nice. Like these quick slips off the Lakers switching, getting inside position, quick hitting passes. Like it's really been good.
Yeah, and I would say their defense has been pretty solid overall. They've just, the Lakers have made some really good plays and made some tough shots.
Yeah, once again, you see, I mean, this is just high school 2-3 zone offense by the LA Lakers. You've got a guy in the middle, and they're switching it up, obviously, but you've got a guy in the middle who can play make, and then you've got a guy in the short corner. That time it was Davis in the middle and Howard in the short corner. If you get it to the short corner, then you can pass it to the guy in the middle. If you get in the middle, you can pass it to the guy in the short corner.
So we got asked a question about whether the Heat would have made this run if the original version of the Butler trade would have gone through. So basically that would have meant, as I remember it, Dragic would not have been on the team. He would have been going to Dallas instead. And my answer would be no. I don't think their offense would have been good enough to make it through Milwaukee. They also probably would have, well, I mean, they probably would have been a slightly worse seed, but Dragic didn't play a ton in the pre-hiatus regular season.
Iguodala just got shoved under the basket by KCP, not physical enough for Iguodala. Now Duncan Robinson guarding LeBron. LeBron setting up Danny Green in the corner. Misses that three. Davis skies in. No, he's going to get the offensive foul as he went over the back of Butler. Good job by LeBron getting Danny Green open that time as Hero was stationed at the elbow off of Green, and so LeBron set him up beautifully, but Green just couldn't convert and Danny Green now 1 of 5 from downtown. Yeah, he and KCP a combined 2 of 11 from 3. Robinson off 2 screens on the weak side. LeBron steps out. Iguodala on the blow by on Howard. Nice job by Olynyk setting the screen on Howard in the lane.
Yeah, that was a version of what the Boston Celtics do so well, and basically screening your own man and clearing space.
Still a 14-point advantage for the Lakers. LeBron in pick and roll wants to go at Olynyk downhill. Butler gets through the screen. Now they'll work the handoff game with KCP. His mid-ranger goes down.
Yeah, that was a pretty confident pull-up by KCP. Had enough space to go over Jimmy Butler. Clean look.
Hero gets LeBron switched on to, or sorry, that's Howard. And Hero with the step back misses it. Caldwell Pope has been good on the glass. Butler trying to stay with LeBron. LeBron goes in between 2 guys. Now he's got the post up against Robinson. Help coming from Olynyk on the weak side. LeBron rips through. It'll be a non-shooting foul, but Duncan Robinson, who has been a foul magnet in this series, now has picked up his 4th personal.
Yeah, and that is a big problem for Robinson personally. Not surprisingly, he is being subbed out. Kendrick Nunn coming in his place.
Yeah, and I question that because you're down by 16 points here, and now they get it into KCP off the easy inbound. And then Davis is right there on the backside against the zone. Yeah, Nunn,
yeah.
who's
AD posted up on Kendrick Nunn there and just basically just established position before Nunn realized he was there.
Yeah, Nunn as they've taken advantage of him on these box outs, which is a tough assignment for a guard down low on that zone. Butler going right past Danny Green, and little help came that time from the Lakers.
Yeah, it didn't really seem like Dwight Howard and AD were really looking for potentially helping there, but especially Dwight guarding Iguodala in the corner. I've brought up the player there being a more aggressive helper a couple times so far in game 2.
Yeah. If you're talking about AD's MVP chances, if he only misses 1 shot in this game, that's going to sort of be a hook for voters' minds. Butler.
Well, and then remember in game 1, AD was, oh God, what was his line? It was, he only missed it was 11 to 21. Never mind. He missed more shots than I thought.
Yeah, Butler now is looking to make it 9 of 10 at the line here, and he's also got 10 assists, but still 5 rebounds away from a good game. Back to 16. LeBron sitting on the bench once more. Heat in the 2-3. Trying to get AD in the center. Good job by Iguodala sloughing down there. Now Butler cuts off Davis as well. So that's interesting. I don't know if this is an adjustment for the Heat, but what they're doing is having whichever guard isn't guarding the ball back way up and try to get inside of Davis so he can't catch it at the foul line. See where Butler is right now. He is watching Davis closely. Tough step back by KCP. Oh, and Davis went right past Jimmy Butler, and he continues to just destroy the Heat. 13 of 14 from the field.
Well, and Miami's not the greatest transition offense in the world off of a live rebound. So Davis can push the offensive glass more aggressively because Miami's not going to make him pay.
Nunn had a nice drive against Dwight Howard. Watch here as Butler is going to just whiff on this box out of AD. AD just keeps going right through him. Nunn hitting the first. Howard was hopping mad about this call, although I don't think we're going to get a chance to look at it. How do you think Nunn has played tonight so far?
I think he's been better than I expected offensively. He's been aggressive, which is exactly what you like, but defensively we've seen his limitations, especially those defensive rebounding fouls.
Rondo setting up Kuzma for a deep 3. That's way off. Davis, again, just absolutely unstoppable. 14 of 15. I mean, this has clearly got to be a finals record at this point for shooting percentage on 15 attempts. Butler tries the Euro step. Man, that's a great move. And the Heat are getting to the basket pretty well in this quarter. And they've already got 24 points, but they just can't stop the Lakers either in this quarter. Davis against Iguodala. Another jumper. Does not hit finally, so his first miss in some time in what has been a spectacular quarter. Hero with the little ball fake. Extends with the left hand. Iguodala had Hero open. He missed him. Instead, Olynyk moves KCP, and he'll hit the three. Timeout called by Frank Vogel as it is now cut to a 13-point Laker advantage.
Let's take some questions. What is the argument for Giannis over AD in the playoffs at this point? I mean, the argument is that AD's jump shot, not the finishing around the rim with some of the stuff he's done in this game, is anomalous compared to his regular season. And so if you believe that this Anthony Davis, the one that we've seen in the playoffs, that's just who he is moving forward, well, then yeah, he's going to be a wonderful player. He's impactful defensively. But if that regresses to the mean, then the difference between them offensively, I mean, Giannis is, I think, more of a force as an individual, as a force of creation in transition. Not that Davis is wonderful as a transition finisher, arguably the best transition finisher in the entire league. And Giannis was the defensive player of the year. AD was good, but not quite at that level. So, I mean, the argument is that the sample size is small.
Well, I think AD has been better defensively in these playoffs than I've ever seen Giannis be, despite the fact that
I would agree with that.
Despite the fact that the Giannis argument for defensive player of the year was pretty much ironclad from a statistical standpoint. So that's a big part of it. And nobody's been able to shut down AD yet. I mean, Giannis was shut down. Now, Giannis doesn't also have LeBron James on his team to help him, but AD has always really scored quite well in the playoffs. I mean, he had one of the highest points per game and highest PERs in playoff history coming into this season, and he has just continued to rock with that. So, no, I think there's a reasonable argument here. And when we do our top 10 players in the NBA next year, that will be a topic of discussion, to be sure.
Interesting question. Why is this game close? I think an underrated part of this is just how efficient Miami's offense has been. They're at a 125 offensive rating. They basically aren't turning the ball over. They have 6 turnovers in the entire game. They've gotten to the free throw line 21 times compared to 13 for the Lakers. And so, I mean, Miami's they're making shots enough to stay in this game. And I think, like, visually, their offense has been very good in the second half, and they're making shots too. So that's really a part of it. Their defense hasn't been up to snuff, and that's why they're losing.
How do you think this Lakers team would have done against the Warriors with Kevin Durant?
It would have been very hard for them defensively, because remember how many dangerous players the Warriors have that are tall and that can shoot, and so their focus offensively is not around the basket. So playing AD and another big would have been a major problem. And the Warriors had, enough guys to throw at LeBron. They would have been perfect. So I think the Warriors would have been meaningful favorites in the series, especially when you consider the weakness of the Lakers guards, which would have been more relevant in that series than it is in this one.
Well, and I think the Warriors had pretty decent guys to guard LeBron, obviously. Draymond is about the best guy in the league to guard AD. So he's not going to shut him down, but he does a pretty good job. And then the Warriors are pretty good at helping off of guys as well. They just had so much experience playing against LeBron. And then LeBron would have had to work a lot defensively against that Warriors team in a way that he has not been made to work in these playoffs. There's KCP. That's a nice little play that they ran as a set against the zone. Really nice. That was a great setup, and KCP just missed the corner three. They had him sneak behind the zone, force the corner man to guard Rondo, and then just threw it to him. That was a really good set play. Olynyk trying to post up Caruso. Butler looks him off, goes at Kuzma, and missed the short jumper. Rondo attacking none, goes at him, and a foul Rajon Rondo, I mean, it really has been a revelatory.
Does did Denver basically trying to ignore him like that timeout that they called to ignore him, did that ignite the driving fire in Rajon Rondo? I mean, the defense was clearly in the Rocket series, but he's been so much more aggressive since that exact moment.
I mean, and this is the first time I've ever seen him intentionally try to draw a foul, basically in the last like 10 years. Like he went into the guy and threw up a shot with the express intention of drawing a foul. That like the confidence that he's playing with is pretty remarkable. He made 1 out of 2 there. 14-point Laker lead. Olynyk not really guarded by AD, and I don't know why not. Yeah, AD just didn't know who he was guarding, and they give up a 3. That was terrible.
And the footwork and the release there by Olynyk were really nice.
Yeah, he's definitely has a very versatile jump shot. Now KCP missing another 3. It goes right out to Caruso. Kuzma, Rondo all day. Yes, sir. The offensive boards really killing the Heat out of the zone. Here's Olynyk on the roll. Rondo comes over to tip it away, but it'll.
Yeah, and that was a great read by Rondo. Nunn had to float the ball over Caruso, and so that led to Rondo having enough time to deflect that, and 16 seconds still for Miami on this possession.
Yeah, and I've alluded to this before, but I think the average person doesn't understand how hard it is just to get a pass through in the NBA. As Hero forces LeBron to help on him, but record scratch by Iguodala. Caruso doing well to slink back on Iguodala. Now it's the drive by Butler. He airballed it and got it back. How is that not a travel? I didn't think Caruso hit the ball. Oh, maybe he did. He might have got it with his left hand, but he certainly indicated that he did not. Here's James taking the deep 3 up top, and the 2 threes in a row here by the Lakers restoring order. I think Miami honestly has played a pretty damn good third quarter, and they just can't make any headway. Olynyk surprised by the pass, now recovers. 3 guys run over there. Hero with the tough fading 1-footer. What a move. Lakers running right back. They got AD underneath the rim. LeBron going right through. I think this is going to be Butler, who's called for a blocking foul.
And that is Jimmy Butler's first foul. The only players on Miami that really have foul trouble, Duncan Robinson with 4 and Kendrick Nunn with 4 for the Lakers. Dwight has 4, AD has 3, and that's about it.
And for Miami, Jimmy Butler is on 32 minutes right now, and he's only -6 with his 19 points, which is pretty good, but he's going to have to rest at some point. Remember, he's been playing 34, 36, maybe 38 minutes max so far in these playoffs for the Heat, and now with Dragic out and Bam out as LeBron misses the free throw.
Well, and you worry about burning too much of what he has left in a game that you're almost definitely going to lose anyway.
That's a good thought. And also Lakers 10 of 17 from the foul line. That's been a missed opportunity. Now Butler right down the lane has to kick it out. Olynyk blowing past AD into LeBron. Foul called, and it'll count.
Kelly Olynyk victimizing LeBron James.
Yep, and that is the right call, I believe.
Absolutely.
LeBron saying he went straight up and only turned because Olynyk went into him.
I think LeBron jumped forward.
Yeah, that's a tough call on LeBron. I understand his point there. Back to 11. The Heat easily could have folded when they trailed by 18 after that massive flurry by Davis. Rondo stationed in the middle of the zone. Now they get it to him at the elbow. He'll drive. Kuzma wide open in the corner. That misses. AD keeping it alive. They cannot get a rebound out of this zone. Now Rondo finding AD in the corner. Triple teamed. LeBron into the lane. Pulls up for the short mid-ranger. Nice box out by Butler, and they finally secure a defensive board. Davis has been a monster on the offensive glass in this quarter. Hero missed Iguodala on the quick slip, and he's going to get the foul on Rondo. Miami getting to the foul line at will in this third quarter.
Yeah, and this is a 35-point third quarter for Miami, even before these free throws. And remember, this is not a super high possession game.
Yeah. Also worth noting that Miami, this is going to be free throws 23 and 24 on the night. Lakers have taken 17, but Miami has only missed one free throw, and the Lakers have missed 7. So Miami has outscored the Lakers by more than 10 at the foul line, and we always said that that's really one place where Miami has to make some hay. We're going to see Solomon Hill here just for the last possessions of the quarter, it looks like, defensively. Lakers will no doubt try for a 2-for-1. 9-point game, as close as Miami has been, or as the Lakers have been, excuse me. LeBron into the middle, Rondo, pass fake, another three-pointer by Rajon Rondo.
And Miami could have pushed maybe and gotten a 2-for-1, but more likely to just take their time and get a good shot.
Good denial by Caruso on Hero. Now he gets it. Just going to ISO. No, they're going to have the screen here by Olynyk. He fakes the screen. Caruso fouls Tyler Hero, but it should be before the shot, but it won't matter as Miami in the bonus. And Hero having a much better game here than in Game 1. Remember, he tied the NBA Finals record for worst plus minus in a game, -35, tied with Kobe Bryant in Game 6 of 2008 against the Celtics. Yeah, Rondo, I mean, just another ridiculous game for him. 16 points, 5 assists, 5 of 7 from the field, 3 of 4 from downtown, and he's even gotten 3 of 4 from the foul line.
Yeah, and Rondo's only turned the ball over once. The Lakers do have 9, but we're an important note on that. They have 9 turnovers. Only 2 of them have been live ball. Had a couple offensive fouls and a few other things. So Miami hasn't had a chance to run off of those Lakers turnovers. The Heat have basically not turned the ball over at all, but the Lakers have 4 steals.
I mean, this has been an incredibly efficient game by both teams. 143 offensive rating for the Lakers, 131 for Miami, and the low turnovers, as you mentioned, a big part of that story. Caruso going into Olynyk, and what do we got here? Offensive foul.
I think they're calling an offensive foul.
That's a surprise to me.
Set.
Yeah, I mean, he may have been set, but I don't think he's necessarily in his path here.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
He's not in his path.
Caruso was breaking he was breaking to a different spot. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like you're not entitled to all of that space as the defensive player trying to take a charge. You're entitled to the space that your chest occupies. Any contact does not automatically make for an offensive foul. Olynyk has to jack it up over J.R. Smith, of all people, who I guess came in as a defensive replacement, or maybe just a zone buster, who knows. But there's Davis. Identical 15-point and 7 of 8 shooting in the first half and the third quarter. He has been the story despite the Heat closing it to within 10. 30 points in 3 quarters for Anthony Davis and 30 minutes.
And Davis has 9 rebounds, 5 of them on the offensive end, 4 on the defensive end. A huge part of that third quarter.
Let's see here. Will we see the Lakers in crunch time in this game? Will there be any crunch time here, Danny? What do you think?
If we're using the traditional definition, no.
So
I think there
within
will be
5 in the last 5 minutes?
5, I don't think so. But I wouldn't be shocked if the margin gets narrower from here at some point. I just don't think it's going to be within the last 5 minutes. We'll see when LeBron rests.
I love seeing Rondo baffle you guys. We had to listen to you bash him for years now. Hey, I mean, I'm really enjoying watching the guy play. He's been great. And
I like how a player being bad and then all of a sudden trying more and being better is like showing us something. Like that's not. He was bad and then he actually started trying on defense and it's better. Like,
well,
that's
he's
the way
also I don't know. I think that might be a little reductive though. I mean, he's shooting it way better. Like he deserves credit for the way that he's improved his jump shot.
Sure.
And he also deserves credit for attacking the rim more. Now, I mean, I share your frustration. Part of why I'm sure we were so annoyed with him was that there were things that he could be doing that we felt were within his power that he just wasn't doing. And so that's part of why I think he didn't really acknowledge in his own mind what some of his issues were and address them, and just thought, hey, I'm Rajon Rondo. I'm a good player. I'm going to do things the way I always done them. And he definitely, I mean, I think most commenters would agree, but you can correct me if I'm wrong here, that he has made some changes in his skill and his approach at this point in time.
Oh, we got a question of who who on the Heat has played best through the finals so far, and I would say Jimmy Butler. I think that he hasn't been perfect, but he's been useful in this game, and then he's played in both. I would say it's him overall, especially because Hero was not strong in game one. He's had some nice moments here, and Olynyk was irrelevant during the competitive portion of game one. What is the biggest downgrade from Hero to none on the bench lineup? I mean, so Hero Hero is a more confident, more aggressive 3-point shooter. I think that his game works better off ball. So if you, depending on who you want to have on that lineup, I think that Hero can make more sense. Even though I think Hero's on ball stuff is plenty good now, and also I think Hero is a better defender than Nunn. Nunn has never played with a ton of force, and so but it's not. I mean, Nunn had a very good rookie season, so I don't think it's like in whenever Hero's not going supernova, it's not as dramatic a difference.
Thoughts on Harrell over re-signing Millsap for the Nuggets? I just don't think that's a great use of the Nuggets' resources, because Harrell can't play power forward, and
You can't play him with Jokic.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand the point. That would be, you might as well re-sign Mason Plumlee.
Well, Harrell's way better than Plumlee, at least when he's right, which he obviously wasn't in these playoffs. But yeah, it's just not a good, efficient use of resources when Jokic is going to play 40 minutes a game in the playoffs. All right, we're back here. Heat back to the 2-3. LeBron going right past Butler for the layup, and easy finish for him as Markieff Morris gave a nice little shove to Kelly Olynyk, giving him a taste of his own medicine from earlier in the second half. Olynyk looking to set up Hero. They go under on him. Good job by Markieff stepping out. Olynyk trying to post up on J.R. Smith, and J.R. Smith with a rather obvious foul.
And I was remembering with that Olynyk Markieff thing that that crazy Wizard Celtic series all those years ago in the early days of what was then called the Twitter NBA show.
Yeah, and I imagine that Smith is in right now as a possible zone buster. Here's Nunn getting open. Oh, he faked Markieff Morris out of his shorts, and Morris no choice but to commit the foul.
And I get to say it, early fouls in the second and the fourth quarter with largely backup units. That's already 2 for the Lakers in the first 25, 26 seconds of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and that's certainly how Miami has managed to stay in this game with the amount of fouling that the Lakers have provided. And that was a nice little slip there. Rondo and Markieff Morris miscommunicating on that sideline out of bounds. Couple of free throws from Kendrick Nunn. Heat extending that zone up into the 2-2-1 press that we saw. You see Olynyk as the center sticking with Markieff Morris, who's just trying to screen him in the center of that zone. Rondo against Butler. No real penetration at all from the Lakers, leads to Kuzma having to force a three, and of course they make it. Lakers have gotten so many wide open threes, and then that's the one that they make.
And if you remember how much trouble they had early, 14 of 39 now for LA in this game from 3.
Yeah, that makes them 5 of 12 in the second half. Nunn has to jacket, has not had the touch from 3. Rondo looking to push it. They get back into the man-to-man. Rondo going right at Olynyk. Tried to draw the foul and could not. Now it's Miami's turn in transition. LeBron trying to run it down here. Watch out. Oh, Nunn was able to get it past him. LeBron couldn't quite get that chase down block. Back to 11. Miami continuing to hang around. Trying to get Rondo in the middle of the zone now. LeBron just takes the deep three. Misses that pretty low attack possession there by the Lakers.
Yeah, they're not getting to the middle of the zone as much as they did, and that kind of robotic stretch that was, I believe, in the second quarter.
Hero just throws it over the top of the basket. He was expecting to get fouled, I imagine. Now Butler against J.R. Smith has the size advantage. Smith forcing him towards the baseline. Butler back to goal. And then he just spins on him easily, and a foul is called on J.R. Smith. Again, the Lakers not really interested in providing help on these Jimmy Butler ISOs, and hopefully Butler begins to recognize that and continues to attack to make him help more.
Yeah, it seemed like Smith was conceding baseline, which usually you do when you have help coming at the rim, and there was no help to come. It was Kuzma that was closest. And Jimmy Butler, if he makes this second free throw, cuts the margin to single digits with 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Now, Danny Green, recall that he was trying to stretch out that hip flexor in the first half. He looks to still not be moving incredibly well. Maybe it'll warm up for him as he gets back in the flow of the game. Yeah, you can see him just kind of trying to gingerly work out that hip.
Look at the way he's trying to move.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't look good right now, actually, but hopefully he'll warm up and it'll be okay. LeBron up top against Butler. Kuzma to get the flare screen for LeBron. Swings it. Markieff Morris. Big shot again. Every time they've gotten close, the Lakers have responded with the three-pointer, and the Lakers their approach against this zone is so good. They just move the ball. They got good passers. They know what they want to do. They get the open shot without much fanfare. Here's Butler again, just blows by Danny Green and puts it down once more. I mean, you see, like, LeBron has got to help more there. Like, he really has done little as a help defender in this game. He's guarding Andre Iguodala. You got to make him throw that ball to the corner with Andre Iguodala on that play. Kuzma, LeBron, swinging it around. Quick passing by the Lakers. Green loops a pass now. Kuzma, tough baseline floater. That misses. LeBron is going to get the offensive foul, though. Looks like Iguodala got hit in the face. Ooh. Yeah, LeBron in his flop hits Iguodala in the face. I wonder if they'll take a look at this one, because on that, like, flopping draw the foul motion sometimes, yeah, it looks like he just got him with the hand. So hopefully it's nothing too bad. And that is a foul on
Nate,
Butler.
what I'm seeing in the box score is they called that on Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, no, that's of course they did.
Oh,
but they might,
because the flail. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
they might still look at that as a hostile act on the flail. But I don't think that it's something that would get called. And LeBron got chucked pretty good here by Butler. Hopefully, I think Iguodala actually got poked in the eye by the finger of LeBron, but he appears to be okay.
And that's only the first team foul on Miami 3 minutes in. So while the Lakers have fouled enough to get Miami close to the bonus, they're still far away themselves.
Caruso looking to drive against the zone, swings it. Green has all day. Oh, that just curls up, but Hero just tipped it away from his own man. Green misses another. Now it's Butler in transition. He has stayed in this entire time. Goes into Caruso, has to pass out. That time LeBron was there with the help. James swings it around again. Caruso trying to get past Olynyk. Blocking foul called on Olynyk. That's the right call.
Yeah, Olynyk still moving into Caruso there.
Yeah, you see LeBron swallowing up Jimmy Butler on that play.
And we'll see how the Lakers get Anthony Davis involved now.
Yeah, Davis coming back in. Shorter rest here in the second half. Caruso tried to bend it around Olynyk. Could not. 5-on-4. Here's Olynyk. Oh, that is out there.
What was that shot?
Didn't even have his feet set, and AD did well to get back and get the rebound.
That was a Klay Thompson shot.
Yeah, at least get your feet set if you're going to shoot it from the hash mark. How about that? Caruso James into the short corner, Markieff Morris. That sets up Caruso's three-pointer. That misses. More offensive glass work for the Lakers. Davis has Green wide open. Danny Green, another miss from that exact same spot. Those shots could have really put the Heat in better position. And now Eric Spoelstra wants to grab a timeout for Miami as they trail by 10. They're hanging around here with 8 minutes to go in this one.
And we'll see if Danny Green is still on. I mean, his movement hasn't gotten much better to me. And I mean, they could, if the Lakers are going to have one of their other guards on the floor to close, they could easily just have KCP out there, and they don't need Danny Green.
Yeah, well, KCP is 1 of 9 from 3, and Green is 1 of 8. I mean,
but at least KCP can actually move. Moving is usually good.
Yeah, so Lakers now 15 of 44 from downtown, 35%. Miami 10 of 24, 42% from the Heat. Kelly Olynyk is 3 of 6. And, I mean, it's just been interesting that the alleged two best shooters on the Lakers are Green and KCP. They're a combined 2 out of 17 from downtown. But then you've got Rondo, Caruso. They're a combined 5 out of 8.
Let's see. Rondo, most improved player next year. I would love to see it. I would love to see this from Rondo next year, but probably not. I mean, especially because that award usually goes to younger players who are getting better.
I mean, Rondo just got himself like another 3 years worth of contracts off of this, because even if he has a crappy regular season, you guys be like, oh, he's going to be good in the playoffs.
What will the owner-player revenue split be in the next CBA? I'm guessing it'll stay about the same, unless there's some sort of work stoppage to really change the dynamic. But the pie seems big enough. The players could fight for more, but generally those fights don't go well for them. My instinct is it stays about the same.
Yeah, and the players got a few concessions in this last one, mostly in the form of some more benefits rather than the salary cap split, coming out of escrow, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think they got plenty of other stuff to discuss. When the league is going well, it seems like both sides are relatively happy with that split. I mean, the owners certainly should be. I mean, they're basically every team has guaranteed profits right now when it's not a pandemic.
Do you think the Miami offense should go through Jimmy Butler isolation moving forward, or is pass first, swing side to side still the best? I think that Butler isolating can work in specific matchups, especially when AD wasn't on the floor to help. So I think you want to change it up based on personnel.
Yeah, and I mean, if they go Jimmy Butler ISO every time, then they'll change up the strategy a little bit. I mean, I think part of the reason those Butler plays are working is because they have so much other stuff that goes on in their offense as well. And I think Olynyk really has been a major part of what they're doing offensively. Olynyk can't do anything on defense, but the way he's spacing the floor is leading to a lot of those Miami attacks. And they're 17 out of 24 at the rim, and they're shooting a ton of free throws. Their problem is they can't hit anything on 2-pointers away from the rim. But even their shot distribution is much better than in Game 1. Remember, Miami took 22s away from the rim just in the first half in Game 1, and they've only had to take 14 in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So is he going to just play like 18 straight minutes here? Did he do that in the first half? I think he did, right?
I think he did. I think he played like 15 or 16, something like that in the first half.
Let's see what they got for their ATO. Crowder is back in, and it's LeBron guarding Butler. Butler trying LeBron. Olynyk slipping the screen. They'll switch this. Butler stepping back. Misses. Rims out. We've seen a lot of shots rim out, too, even as well as these teams have both scored offensively. Zone again for Miami. They even do it off the miss this time, and they get it in beautifully. But what a block by Nunn, who AD had no idea he was there. What a play that was. Now Crowder gets LeBron switched on to him. Here's Butler going into Markieff Morris. Has to pass it out. Could not draw the foul that time. Olynyk trying to post up. Hero going into Caruso. Offensive foul is called once more. A lot of offensive fouls in this game, Denny.
Yeah, and when you consider that's one of the ways that there've been turnovers. I talked about how the Lakers have then on the Lakers side, they have 9 turnovers and only 2 live ball. Offensive fouls are a big part of that. Miami's had a couple as well.
I'm glad to see Kendrick Nunn showing that he can do some things at this level after it's been such a nightmare playoffs for him.
Absolutely.
LeBron, center of the zone, Green, double teamed out in the baseline. LeBron, he'll take the corner three as he eludes Hero, and that misses. Nice box out that time by Nunn on the baseline against Green. Green still having some trouble running here. Olynyk setting the screen, slips it. Butler gets AD switched onto him. Butler now looking to hand off to Hero. Good defense by the Lakers. 5 on the clock. Butler, and he's chucked by AD. That'll be 5 on Anthony Davis, although, and that's going to be what, 4 fouls on the LA Lakers?
I think my box score either is slow loading. They're saying that AD only has 3. I think it has to be at least 4. Yeah, it's 4. Okay, that was my box score's fault.
Oh, okay. So he's not on 5. He's on 4 right now.
I believe
My
that's right.
apologies. Olynyk faking the handoff, shoots the 3. Another very speculative attempt from Kelly Olynyk. Lakers have missed their last 8 shots. Both teams going cold here. None good communication to get Olynyk back into the middle of the zone. Here's LeBron going at Olynyk. Olynyk stops him, but there's AD right back. Olynyk with another block, but then it's LeBron putting it away finally. The defensive rebounding by Miami just has not been good enough. And those guys at the top of the zone need to be doing a better job jumping in there to help out on those. Oh, what a pass by Butler. I mean, Olynyk, just the constant motion that he provides, it's very difficult to stay disciplined in your switching against him because he's constantly moving around and slipping to the basket, and Butler did a great job of finding him that time. Morris finding Davis. KCP underneath LeBron. Nice power move underneath.
Yeah, LeBron cut underneath the basket, originally trying to get a post up from AD, and then it seals off. Nunn gets the basket.
That's a good pass from KCP, who is not known for his decision making necessarily. And now Markieff Morris picks up the foul, and this will be free throws for the Miami Heat. Kelly Olynyk, as Morris was holding him as he tried to get in position for that screen. Still, though, with the Lakers up 12, a very, very tall task for the Heat. But if they can get fouls out on the floor and actually make the free throws, I mean, I know they've shot well overall, so you're going to miss one every now and again. But they need every point now with really only about 11 possessions left to work with and a 12-point disadvantage. Olynyk hitting the second. Zone again for Miami. Markieff Morris at the top of the zone, interestingly, with AD in the middle. Nice job by Iguodala getting a hand on it again, and still 9 to shoot for the Lakers. This is an interesting configuration with Markieff Morris at the top of the zone, and I would just not guard him up there, I think, if I were Miami, and try to back off, prevent the pass in from AD. And I think this is going to be challenged by Miami. Is that right?
I'm not sure.
I saw the referee twirling his finger, and now everyone was going towards the bench, and now they're not anymore. That was weird, and I guess maybe they're saying it's too late to challenge it or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Delay of game called, maybe? In any event, the Lakers have 9 to shoot. They get it into LeBron, trying to get Rondo in the middle of the zone. Instead, LeBron, bat to goal, has to go to the tough 1-foot fader. Did not have the legs to get it to the rim. Iguodala looking to push it. He'll attack Caruso. Olynyk into the lane, finding... No, great defense by AD. And they'll take the foul here to stop the Laker fast break. I think Iguodala was saying that he was
committed
held.
the Euro foul.
Yeah. Iguodala is saying he got held on the slipped to the basket, and so now I guess we are going to get a timeout. Let's see if we can catch it here. Yeah, that's what he's saying, is that he got grabbed by AD. I don't think there really was a lot there.
AD's only taken 2 shots in this quarter. Granted, he's sad for the beginning of it. He's only taken 2 shots, and they were both in that sequence where it was the Olynyk that got in the way of both of them. So he's still at 30 points.
Yeah, and he was outstanding going one-on-one when they weren't in the zone, and now they basically have been in the zone make or miss for Miami, which is a departure from what they have done earlier in these playoffs.
Let's see. Why Olynyk minutes over Leonard for the Heat in this game? Because Olynyk has been significantly better than Myers Leonard. Myers Leonard's limitations defensively, and then Olynyk, I think he's a more versatile offensive player. I would say that Olynyk has been better, so that's why he's been in more. You can make an argument that the 32-9 rate of minutes played is a little bit ridiculous, but I would say Olynyk should have the lion's share. I also think Olynyk should be starting for that reason, especially because it's not like there's a particular, that I can tell, rhyme or reason. Maybe you want to match Myers Leonard when there's like Dwight is on the floor. I guess maybe that's part of the idea.
I think it is, and I mean I would still think that they're underplaying Derek Jones Jr., and I would still
Agreed.
think they should have tried to at least, and particularly because their defense has been bad in this game, I would be trying to just find something and maybe go switching man-to-man with Derek Jones at center. But Spo obviously does not believe that that's great. And again, I mean, there's no magic strategy with the talent disadvantage that they're facing.
From M. Scotto, curious to know the Lakers' effective field goal percentage. You want them shooting threes, but seems like they're generating good looks. That is something that is available to you at the bottom of our screen. One of the stats from RT Hoops is effective field goal percentage. The Lakers are at 60% for the game, narrowly ahead of Miami's 58% for the game.
Yeah, the offensive ratings have dropped a little bit, 135 to 124, as this remains a pretty slow game here. Well, I guess my predictions are usually wrong about how a game is going to go, but this time it seems like I was right that the Lakers would just have a 12-point lead the whole game.
What can teams imitate from the Lakers' likely championship construction, realizing they can't just sign LeBron? Having 2 top 10, arguably 2 top 5 players is a very good thing, and if teams can do that, they probably should. But no, I don't think there's a ton that you can necessarily take from this, because part of why the Lakers roster, like the whole thing works, is because they have these 2 elite players, and the support guys. There are elements of it that you like. Understanding that role players, the ideas they should be able to defend, hit shots, and not make a ton of mistakes. Some of the Lakers guys do that, some of them do not, and also the value, if you can get them, of like one of the things that Rob Pelinka did do well was I praised Masai Ujiri for this last year, which was betting on a talented player being healthier, making a difference. And Dwight Howard took him for the minimum, and he's been a very important player for them.
Yeah, you could also just say that size still matters if it's got versatility. And AD, I mean, he is basically a center at this point in time, but this idea of like the center is dead, apparently not. I mean, when you can also shoot the ball and you can defend with the level of versatility that he can, and things like transition, offensive boards. I mean, the Lakers' biggest advantage over their opponents has just been out physicaling them. So
yeah, and I think you could take something with the Lakers running off of makes and those sort, like having teams be aggressive at what they're good at. I think that's something other teams can take away.
Trying to get Rondo in the middle of the zone here. Miami has done a better job of preventing that pass. Now he gets it. They swing it. KCP gets Rondo in the short corner. He'll take the shot from behind the backboard, and you could tell that affected the right-handed shooter on the right side behind the backboard. Nunn accelerating at Caruso, but Rondo did well to come over there and dissuade him. Iguodala guarded by Rondo. Olynyk looking for Nunn, now looking for Hero. Now looking for Butler. None of those work. They've got 3 seconds left here to do something. Butler going to get a decent look, and he misses it. That was a big possession there. They needed to score on that one. Lakers looking to push it. Back to KCP. This could basically end it, but he misses again. I mean, I honestly, I think the Heat strategy has been pretty good in this game overall.
Yeah, especially when you consider their limited personnel. I think that they've played a very good game.
Butler off the switch against Caruso. Back to goal. Let's see where the help comes from here. AD stunting over. Butler leaving it for Olynyk. Late clock. Butler took too long to attack. Olynyk tries to draw the foul in comical fashion, and now LeBron is in transition. Swings it around. KCP. Now Caruso underneath Davis. Good flying around by the Heat. That was great defense, and they forced the Lakers to reset. Looked like the Lakers had about 3 or 4 open shots coming, and the Heat closed them down.
Yeah, really nice job communicating, rotating, reacting by Miami. And I mean, I think that the kind of the sands are running out on them anyway. Like the part of the idea of, like, I call it a perfect game, is that you need to not only get stops but also score, and they're not doing that part of it. But yeah, I mean, Miami, they've impressed me in this game.
So this is hilarious, Danny. Second quarter, 39-31, Lakers. Third quarter, 39-35, Miami. Fourth quarter, 12-11, Lakers in the first 9 minutes.
Yeah. And the offensive ratings are still high, though, because of how ridiculously efficient the early part of this game was.
Well, and the other problem just is that, I mean, the Lakers are just missing three-pointers. They're down to 33% now. And, I mean, at one point, I think they probably missed something like close to their last, like, 6 or 7 in a row.
That's a good point from Seth Partnow right now on Twitter. The Heat don't have enough time to be this deliberate on offense. That is the other way that you can generate more possessions, is moving quickly. And if you burn the full 24, then you're giving yourself a lower chance unless you're insanely efficient.
Well, part of the problem that, though, is they don't have a way to get a quick shot. They have to run
That's
through
true.
all their continuity. They don't have anyone who's just going to pull up off the dribble from 3. And the Lakers are doing a lot of switching, too. One thing that switching does is it slows your offense down. You can't get the first good look coming off a pick and roll against a drop coverage or something like that. All right, we're back here. They screen the zone to get LeBron into the corner. Now it's Rondo up top. LeBron into the lane. Tough fadeaway, goes down over Olynyk. And now 13-point lead with 3 minutes to go. This one is all but over. Handoff to Hero. They've done a good job on him. Butler going at LeBron, and he finishes it beautifully. And LeBron saying, hey, I made a miss. Where the hell were you guys? Yeah, KCP in particular just never reacted on that one. Back to an 11-point game. Caruso's attempt to feed LeBron is kicked, and that'll put the shot clock at 14. Yeah, you see, I mean, Miami, the quality of their offense in the second half has really been good against these switches, the way that they are cutting hard to the basket. Rondo, late clock. What a behind-the-back pass. LeBron has to step back. Davis just beasting Kelly Olynyk. Stay right here. New possession for the Lakers.
Well, and LeBron, he turned down that first shot. I think he saw Hero closing out at him, but then Hero stayed with LeBron without fouling, moved in closer, did a really nice job contesting the eventual shot.
And once more, the Lakers the Heat are just not getting their guards from the top of that zone involved enough in the defense. Davis, short corner, better look, rims out. Now LeBron on the offensive glass again. Olynyk just has not been able to do it by himself down there. Here's Caruso. Leaves for AD, and we can turn this off, and a 2-0 Lakers lead after this. So listen to Dunked On tonight. It will be available on Dunked On Prime. Thank you so much for joining us. Check out bookies.com as well. And we'll talk to y'all on Sunday night, and we'll find out whether this is going to be a sweep or not.